what I would like to do is give you a brief update about the status of the 3DO business. A really brief update would be my taxi ride back from the convention today. My Russian cab driver wanted to know what this big show was all about, and I told him. And he said, well, what are some of the products? So of course I told him about my favorite product. And he said, well, that sounds great, what's it cost? And I said, $3.99. And he said, $3.99? Is that all? And then he proceeded to tell me that it was rather strange coming to America, finding out that everything great about America had to do with all these incredible electronics inventions, and how the engineers were clearly the leaders of our society, but he didn't understand why the lawyers had all the money and power. So that was my taxi ride over, a little bit of philosophy there. But at any rate, what I'd like to do is give you a brief update on the current 3DO business, then get into the M2 product, and then we'll get a demonstration. Okay, we crossed over the magic 500,000 unit threshold. This is particularly important in an installed base because we now have 10 titles that have done over 100,000 units in sales. We have about 20 to 30 titles that have done over 50,000 units. So we now have a very profitable business for software developers, and it continues to grow.
Like where the warrior.
The software catalog is one of our real strong points competitively. Just this week, we've now released our 200th title for the 3DO system worldwide. And that's dramatically more, and that's 10 times more than the number of titles that our new competitors will have in the market this year. And as you can see from the slide, not only are the number of titles available growing significantly, but there continues to be a very strong and growing backlog of titles in development. So we expect to finish the year with well over 300 titles for the system. And we've had a number of titles that have actually done well enough that they've made it into the Babbage's top 10. Babbage's is one of the leading retailers in the United States, and their top 10 includes best-selling products for all of the formats, including the cartridge systems. And there have been 8 titles so far that have sold well enough for Babbage's to make it in their monthly top 10, even though they're only available on the 3DO format. And we've had a number of other titles that have done very well. So we've had quite a few industry bestsellers. We have a great roster of titles coming at the show. We'll be showing dozens of new products. I've picked out just a few for this slide, particularly the sports area, where we're going to be very strong this year, particularly EA Sports. New coin-out products like Primal Rage. Key hit titles coming over the very high end of the PC market like 11th Hour and Wing Commander 3, as well as this summer we're going to have our first game releases by Studio 3DO, including Blade Force and Killing Time. So that's just a sampling of the titles we have. We've had a lot of progress in the marketplace. There's a group called Trist that tracks 17 of the largest chains of retail stores in the country. And last year we hardly even registered in the Trist database. In the month of December last year, we represented 5% of the sales in these stores. In the month of January, it rose to 7.5%. Probably what was more interesting is back in December, when it was only 5%, we were told that only 6 of the 17 store chains in the survey were actually carrying 3DO. So if you just look at those 6 stores that carried the 3DO product, 35% of their hardware revenue was on the 3DO format. So this is part of a really significant shift which will accelerate this year as we move into the next generation stage in the market. In Japan, our 2 newest competitors, the PlayStation from Sony, the Saturn from Sega, they've been in the market now for a few months, and once they got through their honeymoon period, we were able to measure the fact that our market share on a sell-through rate was holding up. It was 30%, for example, of the 3 systems in February. So those 3 systems have kind of divided the market in Japan. Also, the company that does the Q-Store brand ratings, we currently rank first amongst all the gaming consoles in their brand value ratings. And we also did an awareness study of our own and found that over the Christmas holidays, because of our ad campaign and the success of the product, the awareness of 3DO went from about 40% in the target audience to 71%, whereas for the 2 new competitors that are debuting here at the show, it's down more like around 10%. So we've done a marketing job, we've got a good product, we've got the word around, a lot of people know about it now. That's a mountain that our competitors still need to climb. Looking at the competitive landscape, first I just want to separate what's going on in the PC market from the dedicated entertainment systems market, and point out that these 2 markets have always coexisted. You can go right back to the very beginning when it was the Apple II in the PC market competing against the original Atari video game system. And one of the interesting things about these markets is the PC market has grown pretty steadily. The dedicated market has been very cyclical. Every time there's a down cycle in the dedicated market, the guys in the PC market say, the video game is dead, long live the PC, you don't need a dedicated system, a PC can do everything. Technically that may be accurate, but that's a little bit like telling a family that they only really need one car, or if they were going to get two cars, maybe they should get exactly the same model of car. Not such a good idea. And what's interesting about market history is that every cycle of competition, the dedicated systems have outsold in unit volume the PCs. Most recently, 16-bit cartridge systems have outsold the latest generation of personal computers. Not only that, but when a household has one of these products, one or the other, there's about 10 times more spending on entertainment software for the dedicated systems. So these are clearly getting established as different markets. The 16-bit cartridge business, of course, is declining, and it's going to be replaced by this next generation of advanced CD systems like 3DO. But it's important not to get confused about what role the PC will play in all this. The PC market will continue to grow, but we believe the lion's share of the entertainment business is going to continue to be on the dedicated machines, just as it has for the last 20 years. Now we've got these two new competitors that have followed in our footsteps to release an advanced system with multi-processors and a double-speed CD-ROM drive. And you can see from this slide that technically these machines are relatively similar. They're really in the same ballpark. We feel that we kind of go beyond the positioning of the competition because we have more educational software for kids, we have more adult-only software, we have more audio-video capability because we support the gamut of photo CD, video CD, and so on. And plus, we're the only company so far that's offering the dedicated systems customer upgrade path to what is truly our next generation. A number of considerations for developers work in our favor that have led to us having sold the largest number of development systems for any of these new platforms, and also having the largest backlog of titles in development. For the consumer, the focal point for our business this year is going to be the sale of the current 3DO system from Panasonic and Gold Star. And we believe that we're going to have a dramatically stronger software library than the competition. We have much lower manufacturing cost, and hopefully this will, as it has in Japan, translate into some pricing advantages over the course of the year. And also we offer this upgrade path for the M2. So that leaves us in a pretty good position. Now looking at how we position our current 3DO system with the M2, we're really focused on the fact that the 1995 year, we're ready to really fire on all cylinders because we've got all the elements in place for a good year with the current 3DO system. We've hit a price point where we can move plenty of volume. We've got good hardware supply. We've figured out the marketing formula. We've got a tremendous software catalog. And we're in very broad distribution now in many different countries and a lot of different retail stores. And basically, in finally getting a chance to see what the competitive products look like, even not taking the recent change in the yen-dollar exchange rate, which is a big problem for them, not such a big problem for us. We feel very competitive for the balance of this year. Now, looking ahead to M2, we view that as the system of the future. We've gone down a learning curve the last 4 years. We've learned a lot about this business. We can take all of that knowledge now and roll it into how we run the M2 business. It's a chance for us to start over, wipe the slate clean, and try to do everything the best possible way. And the technology is so good, as you'll see in a moment, that we really believe this is a shot for us at real industry leadership. So that's one thing you can say about the current products that are coming in the market this year is that nobody's going to be a big winner and nobody's going to be a big loser. The market's going to get divided up. And it's going to be very confusing for consumers and for developers, but we're going to get our fair share of the action. With M2, we have a chance to expand on that and really become a market leader. What's important to us is not exactly when we launch it, but how we launch it. We want to make sure that we do it right. And of course, that depends on having the right software, having the right product configurations, having a good marketing plan, having a good distribution and territory rollout.